Hello, everybody. My name is Horschel, and today we will talk about how to create your personal branding and self-promotion plan. We could probably do 3, 4, or maybe even 10 webinars, teleseminars, videos about self-promotion and personal branding. But to do any, you have to start with a plan. And this is why today we're starting with the plan. This is where you get started. This is where you develop your plan, and we will explore not only how to develop your plan, how to develop what you want to communicate, how to communicate it, the tools that you want to use, and more. Let's see some of the things that we're going to cover. Again, my name is Horschel. A lot of you know me in person. A lot of you have been into my other webinars, teleseminars, teleconferences. Some of you have read my books. One of the books that we will be covering today in some of the subject matter is The Unselfish Guide to Self-Promotion, which covers a lot of the philosophical views, a lot of the vision that we're going to talk today, and some of the tools that we're going to cover as well. I am the president of Premier Brands Incorporated. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, and I have, which is important for you, over 100,000 followers. Followers, I mean subscribers. I don't mean people on Twitter. I mean people that I can email or call on the phone, people that subscribe to my newsletters, groups, discussions, etc. And part of your self-promotion plan, your branding campaign, is to get 100,000 people to communicate with you, people that you can influence as well. Or more, of course. 100,000, but you can have more if you want to. First thing that we're going to cover today, we're going to cover how to develop a personal branding plan. How to develop a self-promotion plan and the difference between the two. What is your philosophy? Now, wait, I don't want to lose you here. We'll cover why you need a vision or to develop a philosophy of life. We'll cover that. Don't worry. And we'll get into what is a brand and what is self-promotion and how you will use them and why you need them. And very importantly, influence. You are doing this for influence. Otherwise, you don't need people to know about you, and you don't have a message. We will help build the message, build the communication structure, and then the influence. We'll cover all of this. First of all, personal branding. What do you need for branding? You need to have goals, number one. And yes, I always speak about goals, and it's important because this is your target. If you don't have a target, it's difficult to brand it. So you start with your target. You don't start just with your brand. You start with your target. Who is your target? What is your target? Who do you want to influence? Do you want to influence your family? Do you want to influence your friends? Do you want to communicate? Do you want to have a relationship with your family, with your friends? Is it with colleagues? Is it with reporters? Is it with customers maybe? Maybe stockholders? Or maybe it's not business at all, but it's political. Maybe you're running and you need to establish a relationship with voters. No matter what your goal is, maybe it's readers, maybe you're a writer. You need to establish a relationship with readers. Promoting your book maybe, branding yourself as an author or an executive or something else. No matter what you're doing, you need that goal. So you need to decide who is your target market. What is your goal? That's important. You should be writing it down because it's going to be part of your own personal branding plan. Your look. Now, I don't mean your look. I don't mean the way you dress necessarily. but it's your package. When we deal with consumer packaged goods, and I've developed more than 1,000 consumer packaged goods, so I brand not only people and companies, but I also brand products. And there's a difference, of course, between branding a product, branding a person, branding a company. Now, what I mean by this is the way people look at you. I don't mean the way you dress. I mean the way people look at you. So you need to think about how people look at you, how people perceive you, what they think about you right now, and what you want to accomplish. That's important, what you want to accomplish with how people see you. Your brand. We're going to talk more about your brand, but this is about personal branding, so you need a brand. And we'll talk about what is a brand so that you know how to develop your brand. But you need to develop your brand. You need to develop who you are. And remember, if you don't communicate it, it doesn't count. So if you think you have a brand and you're not communicating it, you don't have a brand. But we'll talk a little bit about this. We're going to start with your brand. And of course, communicate. This is very important because all of this is so you can influence. And if you can't communicate, you cannot influence. So we'll touch on some of these points again. This is just so you can see what we're going to speak about. Self-promotion, same thing. You need your goals. You need to plan. And we'll talk about the difference between self-promotion and personal branding. You need a philosophy or a vision. That's what you're all about. It's how you see life. It's how you see everything that you do. It's not just business. It's not just transactional. It's how you see life. You have to start with that. You have to start with the essence and then start exploring different things. Remember, people that you want to influence, because at the end of the day, all of this branding and self-promotion is about people. So people that you want to influence, it's not companies that you're influencing, it's not cars, it's not goods, it's people. So you need something to tie in with them. They need to know who you are. They need to know what you're about. They're parents. These people that you're influencing, they are parents, or they are sons and daughters, or they are brothers and sisters, they are cousins, they're friends. They are human beings, and you have to relate at that level first. And then you can start with your influence, whatever you have. If you have a business, if you have a product, if you have information, if you have a book, if you have a company, if you're a politician, etc. You need to establish that vision and that philosophy first. Once you have that, then you can start establishing relationships, because now they will know who you are. Your brand rocks. They will quickly know who you are. Your communication rocks. That way you can communicate the influence through these new relationships that you're making. And it's all about relationships, right? At the end of the day, making those relationships communicate, influence, and help. So you see here that I put help here on top. This is important because once you establish a relationship, and this is the part of the philosophy between unselfish self-promotion, is you need to help. Before you ask, you need to help. And there's different ways of helping, but you need to do something. Provide information, provide a solution, do something to help. Otherwise, you're just asking. And it's very difficult asking. So this is why the help is here, and we'll explore this. This is just an overview. The tools, what are the tools? Well, this is where most people start. Most people say personal branding, promotion, it's about the tools. That's not true. The tools are the last thing that you use. And those tools are the ones that are going to get you the attention. I'm talking about being on the radio, being on TV, being on newspapers. I'm talking about having 100,000 followers and learning how to do that, and having influence over people subscribing to your newsletters, people subscribing to your webinars. This particular webinar that you're on, we had 550 subscribers. So that's a way, that's one of the tools that I personally use for personal branding and self-promotion. But it's a tool. Without the other things, you're going to stay as a tool. And this is why a lot of people tell me, okay, I try Facebook, I pay for Facebook advertising and LinkedIn and Twitter and this social media and that social media and search engine optimization, and it's not working. And I ask them, what's your philosophy? And they tell me, no, I don't want to talk about philosophy. I want to talk about personal branding and self-promotion. Okay, we have a problem. It's not just about the tools. The tools are the last part. Even without knowing, even without having those tools and being an expert, well, you will be, but even if you're not an expert in those tools, by following everything else that you saw here, you will have the attention and the influence that you want, even without the tools. The only thing that the tools do is it gets there faster. But it's not just about the tools. It's your philosophy, it's about your relationships, and it's about your communication. You guessed it. What is your philosophy? Philosophy. And why is it important to you, and why should you care? Now, my disclaimer is I grew up with philosophy. My mother studied philosophy at the seminary, so you can imagine I've been reading philosophy books since I was 10 years old. And I apply philosophy and the study of philosophy to a lot of things, because when you grow up, I grew up in my house, we had more than 5,000 books, so I grew up with books, studying, reading, and philosophy was a big topic because I had to learn it. My mother knew it. It was part of the conversation every day, so if you don't know it, you're not part of the conversation. Now, one of the things that I learned about philosophy, especially if you ask a philosopher like my mother, and we have another philosopher in the office that works with us, Luis. If you ask them, and I agree, philosophy is the study of what's important. So if it's important, it's studied by philosophy and it's covered by philosophy. If it's not important, then it is not. Of course, this is from asking a philosopher, right? That's what you get. Turns out that when you have relationships, there are things that are very philosophical and are important. Reality, existence, knowledge, thought, right? What is my purpose? Why am I here? What is the relationship with my children? How will that affect their life? Those are part of your of how you see life. It's not just your business. It's not just organizations or politics or what you're writing and you want to promote, or if you have a product and you want to promote the product. You have to start with the core of who you are first. If you say, Jorge, but I don't need a philosophy, I just want to sell something. Well, how are you going to establish a relationship? How are you going to be interesting to those people in the relationship, and how will you learn what they need and what they want at the core if you don't have a vision, if you don't have an opinion on life, if you don't have an opinion on society? You have to have an opinion. You have to have a vision. You have to structure a philosophy. So sit down and write your philosophy, your vision, your philosophical plan of life. What is my opinion on family? What is my opinion of society? What is my opinion of capitalism? When I'm in one of these relationships with a potential client or a potential mentor, either that you're going to be a mentor or somebody's going to mentor you, what is that conversation going to look like? Can I speak about something that's not just myself, my products, or whatever I do? Can I get to the core of what they're thinking, what they're feeling? Will I understand their philosophy and where they're coming from? Remember, At the end of the day, it's about influence. And if you don't understand your own vision, your own philosophy, if you don't understand yourself, how can you understand others and then be able to help, to communicate, to have a relationship, and to influence? You will not be able. So you have to start with yourself, analyze yourself, write some of these things down so that you know what you're thinking, so that you know what your philosophy is, and then people will start taking notice. You will start examining your own, seeing others what theirs, and you don't have to call it philosophy. You can call it your vision. You can call it many things, but you have to have it. Otherwise, you can start a conversation. So again, I ask, what is your philosophy? What is your philosophy on business? What is your philosophy on life, on family, on influence, on self-promotion even? Start with that because it is the core of humanity. And this is one of the things that philosophy wants to do. What's important, not just for you, but for the other people. Once you develop your philosophy, test it. Remember, your philosophy is going to be now part of your personal brand. It's part of who you are. Test. What is the fastest way of testing it? Ask your family. The fastest way of testing it is to ask your family. Ask your cousins, your brothers, your nieces, your grandfather. Ask people about you, about what you do. Ask them, what do you think? What do you think I do all day? If they don't know, that can tell you something about your personal branding. If they say, well, he or she works all day, doesn't really care about anything but work, well, there you go. That's your personal brand. You only care about work. And what that means, and it's not incredibly nice, but what that means is you don't care about family, you don't care about friends, you don't care about what they're thinking, what they're feeling. That's the core of it. So you don't want to be that person who doesn't care. You don't want to be he only cares about the job. He's answering emails all day on his phone instead of being with the family. He said he was at the barbecue and he was only on phone calls. Branding starts with your family. If you cannot communicate your brand to your family, how can you communicate the brand to people who do not know you? You can't. So your family needs to know who you are or what you are. And it doesn't have to be related to business. Your brand is not what you do. The brand is who you are. You are a father or a mother. You are a friend. You are a son or a daughter. That's who you are. And that's what you want people to perceive. Not, oh, he's a great writer, or he's a great salesperson, or he's a great politician. No, a great person. And this is why. He cares about family. He cares about friends. He helps everybody. That's what you want. Test personal brand. Start asking your family and start changing how you're perceived with your family, with your friends. And ask them next time you have a beer or a coffee with your friends, ask them, who do you think I am? What's my brand? When you tell somebody about, in this case me, Jorge, what do you say? Oh, Jorge is what? XYZ. My friend, or it's a politician, or what's your label? Get your label and then shred your label. What is the difference between personal branding and self-promotion? This is a question that I get a lot. Personal branding now is in vogue. It is popular. I see it in the news. Self-promotion is not very popular. I don't see it in the news all the time, not as much as personal branding, but they're two different things, completely different things. So you have to work on both because they're different things. A brand does something completely differently than promotion. For example, in consumer packaged goods, if you're selling a beverage, let's say, what is the branding part of beverage, right? What maybe the merchandising, how you see it on the shelf, maybe the look and feel, the touch. That's the branding. What is the promotion? Well, it's the way you try to sell it. If you have the branding, you can have that bottle that's in your desk and never sell it, and it's still good branding because you already developed it, right? Not really, but for this example, it works. Once you take it out of your house or your office, you start with promotion. Now, what is branding? Branding is a relationship. That's easy enough. Branding is a relationship. What is promotion? Promotion is a communication tool. What is personal branding? It's your personal relationship with others and what is a personal relationship with you. Because we're talking about personal branding now, not just branding, right? It's personal branding. So what's branding? Branding is a relationship. A brand is a relationship. It's the relationship that you can establish with a potential customer if you have a consumer packaged good, if you have a beverage on the shelf. For you, it's different because you're a person. So it's your personal relationship. Self-promotion. What is self-promotion? Self-promotion are the communication tools that you're using to deliver that brand. Branding is the relationship. Promotion is the communication of that relationship. Right? So what do you do in this relationship? If you have a product, well, you want more than anything the visuals to do a lot of the speaking for you. If you have a product on the shelf and the customer's walking by, they see the product. Everything that you did for that brand needs to have a relationship with that potential consumer. Of course, you're not a thing, so then it doesn't apply exactly like that to you. That's why it's not just about what you dress, how you look, because you're not a thing. You're not a beverage. You're not something in the store. So the relationship changes, but it's still a relationship. Will they start a relationship? Will you start a relationship? What will you use for that relationship? What are the tools that you will use for that relationship? What do you want the relationship to be? How will they perceive you in this relationship? How will they describe you in this relationship? Will they a guy, as a politician, as a friend? Will they know how to describe you according to your values, to your vision, to your philosophy? That's what you want. That's the ultimate goal that you want from your brand, from that relationship. Self-promotion, the way you are communicating your vision, the way you're communicating your philosophy. And in that communication, you have a lot of tools available. And we spoke a bit about tools. You have the internet, social media, you have mass media, you have TV, you have radio that you can use with publicity, press releases, and other tools. You have seminars, you have webinars like this one, and you have a lot of tools. Now, we don't have time to cover all the tools, but we will have more webinars where we cover each tool and each strategy behind each tool. How to get 100,000 subscribers, how to get on the radio, how to get on TV, how to get on newspapers, how to get on magazines. A lot of you already read some of my pieces in magazines or on the internet, your radio. Those are just tools that I use. Behind the relationship and the communication, once I had one. Because let's say a reporter, if you and this is very common, sometimes I'm helping a client and I'm doing their self-promotion and personal branding. And they say, Jorge, I want to send a press release or do a media pitch. So we do a media pitch, and we're brainstorming, and they say, well, I want the media to talk about my product. Let's say that the product is a tea. So they say, I want the media to talk about my tea. I want the media to say how great my tea is and to go buy my tea. And I tell them, I don't think you understand the relationship with the media. These are reporters. You're not paying for this. This is free. If you get a full page spread in a major magazine or newspaper, you didn't pay $20,000 for it or $100,000. It's free. But it has to be interesting. You have to use the tools that we're talking about here, the tools that I mentioned. Remember in the beginning, help, right? We talked about how to help. We talked about your brand, your goals, your look, how to communicate, your vision, the relationship, and of course, how you help. So you're helping reporters. If you're not helping reporters, if your topic is not interesting, they're not going to publish it. So we talk about the tools here in self-promotion, right? We're talking about the tools. One tool is media, but you have to learn how to use it. Again, you can have the tool. If you don't have the philosophy, you're dead in the water. So what happened? You wanted to send a pitch. It wasn't a press release. We sent the press release, but then we needed to send the pitch to pitch the media about the product. But he didn't understand that it's not about the product. It's about the relationship with the people, with the readers, and with the reporters. So he needed to establish a relationship himself with these reporters, number one. Number two, with the readers. Otherwise, they're not going to print anything. Let me give you another example. I had a feature on Forbes.com. And I've been on several magazines, newspapers, TV, radio, etc. But this one is interesting, well, number one, because it's Forbes, but also because of how fast you can make a relationship. He was a reporter. He was under a timeline crunch, and that's normal. You get a lot of reporters, and you do help them immediately. Otherwise, their deadline's gone. Maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow. In this case, it was today. So I have a media kit, and we'll go over all of that. I have, of course, my media room, my media kit. I'm already prepared. I have a bio. I have questions that they can ask. I have a black and white photograph, color photograph. By the way, you need a media kit too. Your bio, you need your questions. Yes, they will ask the questions that you want them to ask. Topics that you can speak about, your introduction, the way you want to be introduced, let's say on radio or TV. All of this is part of your media kit. So for the media, you need a media kit. Otherwise, you're not going to get any press. You'll be an amateur, and you want to be a pro, and they want to speak with pros because you help them solve problems. So let me sum up the relationship that you're going to have with the media. You're going to solve their problems. You're going to help them. If you think you're there because you want free publicity, you're not going to get any. If you think you're there and you're going to help them and solve the problems, you're going to get a lot of press. What do I need? Okay. I got a call from a reporter from Forbes. He found my book, Build Your Beverage Empire, which is a book on how to develop and sell beverage companies, not just beverages, but beverage companies. And he needed to publish an article about Tecate beer and boxing. So not very usual, right? Boxing and Tecate beer. And he was completely lost, and he was, I think it was 10 o'clock, and he needed everything done by 2 o'clock. He called, he left actually he called the office, and the office called me and said, you need to get on the phone right now with this guy. He's desperate. You need to help him. He doesn't know where to go. He doesn't have the information. I couldn't, so I had to leave several things that I was doing, a meeting, etc. And I got on the phone with him, and I told him, well, it just so happened that I grew up 20 minutes from the city of Tecate, so I know Tecate beer very well. I grew up in Tijuana in Mexico, so I know Tecate very well. Back then, it was a local brewery, and you only drank that because it was a local brewery. And I just happened to be the biggest fan of boxing, and I know the whole story behind boxing and Tecate beer. Tecate beer at this time was advertising in HBO, Friday Night Fights. No, this was HBO, Dark. I'm sorry, Friday After Dark, but I've been following the commercials since before when they were on ESPN on Friday Night Fights, which there were commercials in Spanish to top it off. So I explain all of it about how they started with Friday Night Fights with ESPN. They made the transition, how they want to target the Mexican consumer, not the Mexican American, but the first generation. I did the whole thing. And he said, you know, he just wrote the article for me. I'm going to give you a big plug for you and for your book. That's the relationship that you want. You solve the problem, they give you a big plug. In this case, I dropped what I was doing to help him. I couldn't write the story because I was driving, but I essentially told him the whole story. He just transcribed it in his computer. And then the article was done, and I think it was out next day. That's the relationship. That's the communication strategy. That's a tool. Unselfish self-promotion. What is unselfish self-promotion? Well, now we're getting into my philosophy. My philosophy is that whether we like it or not, we need others. Some of us think don't, but we do. We need others at every level. Every level. Children, in society, economically, to work in teams, at our job, for everything. For love, for our feelings, for everything. And this is from the cavemen, right? I started the book with an example called Caveman Promotions because this is the core of survival, to work in a team. Not just for emotions and everything internal, it's also for everything external. We need to work, we need others. And unselfish self-promotion, the philosophy behind it is once you understand how you need others and how others need you, help them. Simple as that. Help them. Just help them, and that's the core of my philosophy behind self-promotion. Help them. Mentor people. In my case, I mentor people. I've done more than 1,000 different projects. I've mentored probably 150 different people, and I mentor sometimes students, sometimes teachers, other times, many times, authors and people who write books, a bunch of people business. Sometimes it's a favor to my neighbor, or sometimes, or a lot of times, as a family member. And I've had mentors as well. I've had mentors. I'm extremely lucky to have mentors within my family, to have mentors in business, to have mentors in writing, and to have mentors when I need them. When I need them, they appear. So unselfish self-promotion is once you understand you need people, you can't do it alone. They need you, help them. And what happens when you help them? You start getting all of the promotion that you need. You start getting all of the attention that you need, in whatever form you need it, from your family, from your friends, from your colleagues, from your customers, from your voters, from whatever you need. You will get business, you will get followers, you will get readers, you will get clients, you will get whatever you need. My phone rings right now, 40, it's going up. It used to be 40, I think now it's 40 to 60 times per week for business reasons. And what I mean by that is different people, not the same people calling 40 times. So I get 40 to 60 new put me every week. Want to work with you. I'm not advertising. I'm doing a self-promotion. It works. I've done a lot of work in the past, so of course, this didn't happen the first day that I did it, but it did happen the first year. And I get 40 to 60 calls, and I've gotten up to 100 calls in 1 week of people saying, Jorge, I know what you do. I know car. I want to work with you. You don't need to sell me on it. I already made up my mind. If you don't get 40 to 60 calls per week, engagement promotion. And I'll go fast with this because this is more philosophy and it's covered in the book in detail. But one of the things that I like about explaining it with cadence, you go to the core of necessity. They discovered they couldn't hunt alone because you need a group to hunt. If you stay by yourself, the tiger is going to eat you. If you leave your kids by themselves, the tiger is going to eat them. So you need people to hunt. Even if you're a loner, let's say, and you're not emotionally attached to anybody and you don't like love and you don't like relationships, you still need people to hunt and eat. You still need people to gather. You still need people to take care of the kids because the kids die. Who's going to take care of you? You need people to sound the alarm if predators are coming. So you need people to survive. Once the caveman realizes he needs people to survive, his priority is now to help those people survive. If they don't survive, he doesn't survive. If I don't help them stay alive, I will die. You cannot get more to the core of self-promotion, self-preservation. If they die, I die. So they better stay alive. I'm going to make sure they stay alive. That's the core. When you can apply it to the core, it is easier to apply it to everything else. Okay. Of self-promotion and personal branding in business. Granted, we have to go through the tools, and we're going to explore in the next weeks, many different tools that you have at your disposal, like I said, media, online, newsletters, social media, advertising, publicity. But in business, it works the same as in life. A lot of people, I don't like this saying. A lot of people say, and if you heard it before, maybe you don't like it either. It's not personal, it's business. For me, business is very personal because I only do business with people that I like. I only do business with people that I would bring to my house. This includes employees, colleagues, clients, partners, investors, etc. So it is very personal, number one, because of that reason, but also number two, because I eat, my employees eat from business. So how personal can you get if you don't have food because you don't have business? And the other reason is, for me, it is really family. And I don't mean just family because I like everybody. I mean family because they're related to me. So I like to break that rule and always do business with my family because I bring my family to my house for dinner. I trust them. I have a good relationship with them. So I'd like to do business with my family, and my family is in the business, and they're managers in the business, and I work with my wife, with cousins, with uncles, aunts, and everybody that I can do business I do, because I like to be around them. If you spend half of your day doing business, you better like the people that you do business. So how can you apply this to business? You apply it in exactly the same way that you apply it to life. Don't change it. Don't separate it. Don't speak differently because you're in a business meeting than you would because you're with friends. That's not who you are. That's not your vision. That's not your philosophy. So how to use your new powers in business? The same way that you would use it in family, with friends, to influence others, to help them. Make them your friends. Make relationships. Tell them who you are, what you're all about, your vision, your philosophy. That's all you need to do. And your phone is going to start ringing. One of the things that's going to be, once you start applying this philosophy, this methodology, is you're going to have influence. You're going to have influence in your family. You're going to have influence with your friends. You're going to have influence by default, like I said, with business, in business, or in organizations. You're going to be a pillar. You're going to be a leader, whether you want it or not, because you're using this methodology of influence and helping people, and influence them to do the right thing, influence them to follow a path, or influence them with your philosophy. There's also a responsibility to do it, but there's also a responsibility to do it correctly. So use your new philosophy and the new way of communication with your family, not just in business. Don't just start promoting this in business or to promote yourself. Start, like I said, by helping others find out what they want and how you can help them. A very simple example. Let's say that you start a blog. Your readers want what they need and what their problems are. Tell them how to solve them, and you're going to have 5,000, 10,000 subscribers to your email. That's an easy example. Use the same with your family. What are their problems? What are their fears? Help them. Maybe you just need to listen to them. Maybe you need to take them out and give them some attention. Help them. And you will get the same results. You will get results that cross over. If you're doing it with your family and in life, you will get crossover to business. If you're doing it in business, you'll get crossover in family and daily life. Now, how to influence? This is a big, big, big word, influence. I try to influence in two ways, and this is me. Everybody is different. Everybody has different goals. When I wake up every morning, I ask myself a question, and the question most mornings is, what is important? I don't think about an email. I don't think about coffee. I don't think about work. I think about what's important. What can I do today to change the world? That's the question that I ask about 70% of the time. It's a big question. What can I do to change the world? Sometimes I don't have the right answer. Well, the majority of times I don't have the right answer or an answer that I like. I get frustrated quite a lot with the question, but I always start with something. That's me. That's the way I am now. If I cannot do something that I consider important, and I mean important big, then I try to do something that is important small. For example, I will try to make a better life today for my wife, for my mother, for my nieces that live with me, for my cousin, for my friend, for somebody that I trust or love or care for. And at least I can do a different, change the world to somebody. One person, a few people. Of course, I want to do more, but sometimes you can't. Now, that's the influence that I want. And now, bigger picture, my influence, my personal influence is to change the world using two primary tools, writing and business. My influence then is with business people. I mentor them, show them and help them how to be social entrepreneurs. And in writing, not just by writing myself, but helping other writers, influencing other writers, and teaching other writers how to use self-promotion and personal branding. For example, for business, I have several companies, several brands, including Premier Brands, Inc., which is a publicly traded company, and I teach entrepreneurs how to be social entrepreneurs. I don't mean social media. Social entrepreneur means that you have a cost behind your business, a social cost. In my case, social cost, not environmental, but social. So I try to help entrepreneurs develop a social cost, and that's my influence, to influence them to change the world with their business. That way, it's not just my business, but their business. With authors, it's the same thing. With writers, I've influenced them and helped them promote their work, because I think writers are very smart and they can do a lot of good, but somebody needs to read their work. Most of them are not great at marketing. So I created Promulgate. You can check it out at promulgate.com, which is a network for promoting writers. And I do a lot of marketing to promote Promulgate so that whoever's there, whoever author is there with their profile and their website and their blog, gets promoted just by being there. They put their book page, they get a free personal page, a free book page, a free blog, and then I do all the promotion, not them. So that I get traffic to the site, so that I get readers to read their product, their literature, and then they can have influence with my help. That's the way I'm trying to influence. Big picture and smaller, of course, in my house, in my family, with my friends, that's the influence that I have. Now, to influence, you need an audience. You need 100,000 people, 1 million people, 10 million people. And this is what we're going to talk about in the next webinars, how to build your audience. What tools and strategies you need to get the philosophy, the vision that you will create for you, not for your product, not for your business, for you. Remember, you can change business. You can sell another different product. But you are stuck with you. So you always promote yourself, not your business, not your product. So we will go over the tools, every tool, from business cards, how to create them, how to have personal cards, not just business cards, all the way to blogs, newsletters, websites, everything that you can imagine, how to get on magazines and newspapers and TV. We'll cover it all. And we'll cover how to do a lot of this automatically. I don't do a lot of promotion anymore, at least, and my phone still rings because I did it 7 years ago. And this is why I have automatic self-promotion machine. We'll go over how to start your own automatic self-promotion machine. We're going to cover how to develop a relationship with your audience. Of course, before that, you need your core values, your philosophy of life, of business, of everything. Once you have it, we'll go over how to develop a relationship with your audience. Let's say that you get readers, subscribers to your newsletters, subscribers to your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitter, everything. What is the relationship? If you don't have the right relationship, you're not going to do anything. It doesn't matter if you have 5,000 or 50,000 readers or subscribers to your newsletters. You need a relationship. We'll go over how to establish a relationship and what's the right relationship for you. Again, you don't have to have 100,000. What I do is very niche. and I have 100,000 people in my newsletters, my discussions, my groups. You can have more if what you do is broader. It's not as niche as what I do, consumer packaged goods. And I also work a lot with personal branding executives especially. So that's very niche. I work with CEOs, and I work with beverages and other products. That's very niche. And I have 100,000 people. You can have a million or 2 million or 100 million, depending on what you do. Now, I don't mean that 100 people read my stories or my books or my articles. That's much, much more. It can be in the millions. These are people who I can call on the phone or send an email. They are subscribers to my newsletters. I can communicate with them, and they can communicate with me. This is not a LinkedIn, a Twitter follower that you can't call on the phone or you can't send an email. No, that's not what I'm talking about. That's extra. That's another tool. I'm talking your core audience minus 100,000. I'll show you how I did my 100,000, and then you can take the steps to build yours, whatever you want, in whatever niche you want, or whatever niche you're promoting, or whatever philosophy you want to convey. And we'll explore even more of everything that you do and everywhere that you do it. Your family, business. Also, how to be the expert in your industry. So all of these tools that you will learn will teach you also how to be the expert in your industry. I've been an expert in different industries over the past years. I've been an expert on ERP software, for those of you who are in software. I've been an expert on project management software. I've been an expert on wholesale and distribution, beverages. I've done industry analysis for the beverage industry for bank, investment bankers, hedge funds, etc., and personal branding, among others, over the years. And I'm talking writing articles for trade magazines, doing interviews, doing industry analysis where I get paid to do the industry analysis. I don't just mean that I say I'm an expert. I mean that others call me and pay me for my opinions in that industry. You will learn how to be the expert in your industry. And of course, it's within the same philosophy that I gave you have to give in order to achieve it. But we'll cover that as well. We'll cover the big influence also, how to get media coverage. And that's what most people want or think they want. But once they see what reporters want, they have to change their strategy. But we'll cover how to communicate with reporters, how to provide them with your media kit, with your questions, with everything that you need. And of course, once you learn everything and you can influence, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to mentor, and you have a responsibility to communicate the right things, not just buy my product, buy my company, buy my vote for me, but to make a change. That's very important for me, and that's why I would like it to be very important for you. I'm going to go over questions. You can type them in the computer using your chat. It is moderated. You don't have to worry about others reading your questions if you don't want to. Ask me your question. I will answer it, or I will read it and I will answer it. Your questions can be about, as every week, about everything. They don't have to be just about the philosophy of self-promotion. They can be about specific tools for self-promotion. I know we didn't cover everything because this is probably a 10-hour, with the content that we saw here, it's a 10-hour webinar. So we will cut it down and do one a week or one every 2 weeks. Now we have a webinar every week, but it might not be on self-promotion next week. It might be on something else, but we will cover everything on webinars. All of the tools that I mentioned will be covered. And then some. But for now, ask your questions. And if you don't want to ask questions here, you can always call the office. You can email us. You can go to one of the many sites or my blog, horschel.com. Ask your question. Call and speak with one of our brand managers, or send an email, or whatever you want and however you want to communicate. Communicate with us through Facebook, communicate with us through LinkedIn, through Twitter, or whatever you want. You can do that as well if you don't want to ask your questions here. Usually we get sometimes 20, sometimes 50 or 100 questions, and then we get another 20 or 30 private questions, and then maybe 5 or 10 phone calls of people that have more complicated questions that we need to address over the phone. Your questions, again, can be about self-promotion, about personal branding, about the tools that you need to use, or anything else. The writer site. The writer site is promulgating, and I will write it for you here, promulgating.com. Promulgating.com is free. Again, we're talking about the philosophy of unselfish self-promotion. It took us a long time to develop the program, but it is free for authors. And we have, right now, authors. We have some publishers there. We have some no. And I invite you, if you don't have a profile and your information there, put it there, because we will announce some very important appearances or promulgate, that I will plug promulgate on interviews and some other media coverage that I'm getting. So we're going to have hundreds of thousands of visitors. So if you don't have your content there, they're not going to read it. So make sure they have your content there. And this was from Robin. You asked, will this webinar be available later? Yes, it will be available on either DVD or on CD or on the website. We'll send you an email when it's ready so that you can listen to it in your spare time, pause it, rewind it, or whatever you need to do. And later on, it will, maybe in 30 or 60 days, it will be available also as an audio CD. And you have an opportunity to get it for free as well. We ask for different things, no money, but we do ask for different things to get it for free. Sometimes it's a book review, sometimes it's, if you liked the webinar, to drop us a note or something like that, so that we can exchange something. But all of them are available, the past ones as well. Okay, another question for the place for writers. It's promulgating.com, and I wrote it down here so you can see it. Promulgating.com is the place for writers. Let me see. Going down, reading the questions. We have this is a good question from Chris, a writer. I really think an author can do everything right and still have an uphill battle. I agree. What do you think of authors working together? Well, I love authors working together. This is why I have Promulgate, and I have the group, the writers group of more than 40,000 members, because I think writers, like everybody else, need each other. They need each other for ideas. They need each other for promotion. They need each other for everything. And I do think that if a writer does everything right, it does also mean he's doing promotion right. And if you do promotion right, you will get read. Simple as that. I have never done any type of promotion right that it didn't work. If I do promotion and it doesn't work, I do it the right way. We just have to start thinking more like marketers and less like we don't want to do anything with sales. So we do want to do everything with sales because that's what we do. If we're writers, we are communicators. And by essence, we need an audience. And you're not going to get an audience if you forget your branding and your personal branding and self-promotion. So yes, we should work together. Yes, other webinars are available and they are free. These webinars I do not charge. When I do other webinars for hedge funds and mutual funds and investment bankers, I charge them because they have the money. So I charge them for the webinars on industry analysis and things, webinars on self-promotion, personal branding, marketing, how to develop a unique selling proposition, and many others, but they're all free. iPad, I'm not sure if the software is made for iPad. This is maybe why it doesn't work. Maybe you were supposed to download an app before instead of just using the browser. It is the truth. I've always used the PC with the software. So, my director of technology is listening, so he'll check it out so that we have an answer for the next one, and we can communicate to other people's iPads what to do. Good question. Thank you for that. Or vision. It's both. One. It can be either or both, Todd. And I think that's a deep question. Be quick here so everybody can see it. The philosophy part is when you start studying it, questioning it, and getting to the bottom of it. That's when it becomes a philosophical question. If that's what you want, and that's what you want to achieve, and you put a goal on it, then it's your vision. That would be the difference, explained in 10 seconds. And I haven't done promotion yet. I work with several published authors. Some of them published by the biggest houses, and a lot of them, I don't know if it's the case with you, Christina, but a lot of them thought that the publisher was going to do all the promotion and websites and publicity. And I worked with some of them that they realize they're doing it and they have to learn how to do it. And even if the publisher did it, they did something small. It wasn't sustainable. It wasn't for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. One of my books, Build Your Beverage Empire, which is very, very, very niche to the beverage industry, has been selling every day, every single day, and making my phone ring since it was out. And it's made several bestseller lists, even though it's a niche product. But I promote it. I have newsletters, I have blogs, I have teleseminars about the beverage industry. So I promote it. So that's frustrating. But what I would recommend is to do everything yourself, because you need to promote you, not just you. So the self-promotion that we talked about today, it's about you. People should know about you, and then they'll read your books. You can talk about why. If you want to talk about the story, write about why you wrote the story, how you got inspired for the story, and then people will relate to you. You know, writers is tricky because people can relate to your characters as well, but they have to relate to you also. So start with that. Build your blog. Join Promulgating if you don't know how to build your own blog, and start there. And later on, build a WordPress blog or something like that, and start with that. And then join us because you'll learn step by step the other techniques that you need. My LinkedIn careers, because I have 10 of them. I imagine you're asking for writers. It's called book writers, with 40,000 book writers. Let me see. Okay, how would you treat this information for fiction writers rather than other kinds of writers? You wouldn't tweak it. You're promoting yourself, and you're promoting the story of why you're writing or why you're communicating the message that you're communicating. And this is a mistake a lot of people make in trying just to promote the work. Remember, in this case, the work is a product. You're not selling the product. You're selling you. So if you cannot sell you, you will not be able to sell the product. So focus on you first, and then start, once you have your audience, start talking about your product, in this case, your work, or your book, or short stories, or whatever you're working on. That's the way I would do it for a writer. I have a lot of nonfiction. I'm writing 2 more books coming out this year, nonfiction of business, but I'm also writing fiction now. I'm writing novels. I tested some of these tools with fiction, and they work the same. Actually, they work better because there's more people that are interested in fiction than in beverage. So I got better results, better rankings on Google, better results from the media. Everything was better. I didn't just talk about the story. I talked about myself, why I'm writing the story, how I'm the biggest geek on earth, and I'm a big Comic-Con geek and a big gamer and a science fiction junkie, and why I'm writing science fiction and fiction. And then I got attention that way. So don't just tweak it. Follow it to the letter. Promote yourself. Don't be afraid to promote yourself. You learn by being a subscriber. So if you're here, you probably put your email somewhere, and you will get an email for our next webinar. Typically, we have them on Thursday at 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Thursday, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Now, they're not always about self-promotion and personal branding, so you might get one that's about how to get on TV, but you might get one about products, or how to sell products, or how to export, or an interview with an executive from a Fortune company. Maybe you like those, maybe you don't, but you'll get the title by email, and then you'll get who will be there, either myself or I'm interviewing somebody. I'm in almost every webinar, unless I'm traveling, then somebody subs for me, and it's usually with an interview. But every Thursday at 2 o'clock, then you will get an email of the next webinar maybe tomorrow, and then you'll get one maybe midweek or before it starts, so that you don't miss it. And then once we have it in recording, then you can get it on video for free. You can get it on, the question is, how can you download and watch these webinars? You'll get an email on how to get the video and download it and listen to it if you want. Again, pause it. You'll get an email on where to get it. As soon as we have to render it, upload it, do that That song and dance, it takes us a couple of hours, but you'll get the email maybe today on how to get it. Maximum, max, you'll get it tomorrow if you don't get it today. Do you ever address how your personal brand intersect with your organizational brand? Oh, that's a fabulous question from Laura. Yes, I do, and that's a fabulous question. It also depends on, is it your company or if it's not? Are you an employee? Are you a director? Are you a VP? Are you the CEO? Are you the founder? Many different levels. But remember, something that I do personally, and I invite you to do the same thing, is keep your own blog. You can talk about business. Let's say that you work for a very conservative company, and you don't want to be very open, that you put information about when you went to Europe, something like that, and you want to keep it straight to business, your blog. You can still do that and show personality in the way you write your blog, the photographs that you use, the tone, and the relationship that you establish with people. But remember something, you're establishing that relationship yourself, not your company, yourself. Now, this is good and good, not good and bad. The company will benefit from it and they will love you. But if something happens to that company, these people will follow you to your next job because the relationship is with you. If it's your company, if you own the company, then you just have to do the relationship with you. Unless it's a Fortune company and you have 5,000 employees, right? But look at Bill Gates. Look at the relationship he had when he was the head of Microsoft. It was a personal relationship that he tried to establish. Same with Jobs, with Steve Jobs. Different relationship, different market. Now, Laura, later on, if you talk about where you are in the company, if it's your company, then I can answer it better now. Take me as an example. I've worked for companies as an executive, VP of Business Development, VP of International Sales and Marketing for software companies, COO of distribution companies that were my companies, and then there was not. I was a partner. I've had my own consulting companies and distribution companies. I've had my own beverage brands and beverage companies, but I've also worked for other people or been, in this case, I am the president and CEO of Premier Brands, which is a publicly traded company. It's not my company. And I give my personality. I know it's very serious business because it's a publicly traded company, but I take it very seriously. But it's still my personality, and I want people to have a relationship with me because at the end of the day, I have to respond to my client. At the end of the day, the company doesn't answer the phone, right? I answer the phone. So I try to brand the company how I feel comfortable, not the other way around. Chris, love it. If you want to help authors, start by to it, and then you can start. That's easy because I already have a relationship with authors. So you can cheat, and you can have a relationship with the people that I have a relationship. And you can start collaborating with them and helping them quickly as I already have a relationship with 43,000 of them. Start with promulgating, send an email and what you want to do, and then Luis, my partner and administrator, will brainstorm with you on what you can do. And there's a lot, and authors need help. No, I don't have the guide to self-promotion on CD yet, but I'm going to do maybe in 6 months, I'm going to do another print with new things, and then I'm going to turn it into an audiobook as well. But I'm about 6 months because I'm doing a lot of changes, and I'm adding a lot of infographics to it. I think in pictures. I think others think in pictures as well, so I'm putting a lot of infographics and mind maps as well. Chris is book writers, yes. The one on LinkedIn is book writers. The one that's standalone is promulgating. Max, if you want to learn to write a book, yes, I recommend promulgate. I also recommend book writers on LinkedIn. And we will start having webinars on how to write very soon to promote it there, because we will start having writing webinars for every level. So make sure you're there. I really appreciate the feedback. It's important to get feedback, because sometimes you don't know if people understand or they care. Sometimes you understand and you say, Jorge, you're full of it and I didn't like it. That's fine too. I accept that. But if you like it, let me know. Let me know what you like, what you didn't like, what you'd like to see. If you're not here, I'm not here. And if you want more information, specific information, different information, I might know it and might not know it's important to you. Let me know what's important to you so we can provide it. If I don't know it, somebody on the phone, somebody on the webinar who knows it, and that way we can both learn from that person. Do you mind giving out sources of simple blogs? How much time do you suggest spending on a blog? I put, depending on how busy I am that month or year and how much I'm writing, that's how much I put on my blog. I have my basic personal blog, which is jorgeolson.com. And right now, because I'm extremely busy with business, and a lot of writers know it's difficult to use different parts of the brain, or at least for me. At the same time, sometimes I cannot unplug my business mind to plug my, in this case, science fiction mind. When I'm writing science fiction, I put it's up. I put some of my characters' descriptions. I write biographies for my characters, so I upload biographies or images. I'm very visual, so I have different artists that work on my characters, and they bring them to life. And then I share the images of my characters with their biographies. A little crazy, I know, but I enjoy it. If you're a writer and you want to blog, you should write. If you're a business person and you want to blog, you can put photographs and then events and then whatever's happening in your business life and how it's affecting your personal life. So it depends on what you're doing. And you can spend 5 minutes. You don't have to spend an hour or 2 hours. Chris, you can call the office for starters and speak with Luis if you're interested in promulgate, because he's the manager there. So speak with Luis, and he's in the office, I believe, from around 8 o'clock to maybe 5, I want to say, Pacific Standard Time. Max, the webinars, we've always done them at 2, but you can, I know it's tough if you're in Germany, but you can get them recorded. Sometimes we do one earlier, but not very often. I appreciate your time. I know your time is very valuable, and I really appreciate that you decided to spend it with me. I will see you next Thursday. Thank you much.